Let's talk about something we all run into, data. Specifically, how to turn a total mess of numbers into a story that actually makes sense. It's all about going from chaos to clarity.
You know that feeling, right? You open up a spreadsheet and, bam, it's just a wall of numbers staring back at you. It feels impossible, kind of like trying to read a book where all the letters are just jumbled up. It's just noise.
Okay, so check this out. We've got a list of exam scores for 40 students. Just by glancing at it, can you tell me who the top student is? Or what the most common score was? It's a mess. This, right here, is what I call data chaos. And don't worry, we're going to fix it.
All right, so how do we wrangle this beast? How do we bring some order to this numerical madness? Well, the very first step is to give it some structure. And trust me, this is where the magic really starts to happen.
So first things first, what are we even looking at? This messy, unorganized pile of information? That's what we call raw data. It's the starting point. Think of it as, the ingredients before you start cooking. Not very useful on its own.
So, what's our first tool in the toolbox? It's so simple you're going to love it. We just count. Seriously, the number of times a piece of data pops up in our list is called its frequency. And this simple act of counting, it's the secret to finding patterns.
And just look at the difference it makes. Instead of having to scan this huge long list of temperatures, boom, we can see right away that 11.4 degrees showed up 5 times. All we did was count, and already a pattern is starting to show itself. How cool is that?
And making one of these tables yourself, it's super easy. Like 1, 2, 3 easy. First, just list out all the different numbers you have. Then, you go through your messy list one by one and make a little tally mark for each one, like we did in elementary school. And last, just add up the tallies. That's your frequency. So simple, but so powerful.
Okay, that's great for smaller sets of data. But what happens when the data is just all over the map? I mean, what if you have tons and tons of different numbers? Things start to get messy again, right? We need a smarter way to group things. Yeah, let's think back to those 40 student scores. If pretty much every single student got a unique score, our frequency table would be almost as long as the original list. That's not helping. We'd just be trading one type of confusing list for another.
So here's the game changer. Instead of counting every single individual score, we group them. We put them in buckets, like how many students scored somewhere between 10 and 20, how many between 20 and 30. And just like that, this massive, unwieldy data set starts to look manageable again.
And these groups, these ranges, they've got a name. We call them class intervals. It's pretty straightforward. Each one has a bottom number, the lower class limit, and a top number, the upper class limit. So for a group like 10-20, 10 is the lower limit, 20 is the upper. Simple.
Oh, and here's a pro tip for you. Sometimes, especially when you get into graphing, you'll need a single number to represent a whole group. That's where the class mark comes in. It's just the dead center, the midpoint of the interval. So for that 10 to 20 group, the class mark is 15. Super useful.
All right, deep breath. We've taken that raw, chaotic data and we've organized it into nice, neat tables. That's a huge step. But now for the really fun part. We're going to turn these numbers into pictures. Because, let's be honest, a picture is worth way more than 1,000 numbers.
So let's take a really simple example. We're going to look at the speeds of a few different vehicles.
So here it is in a table. It's clean, it's organized. You can look at it and figure out, okay, the train is the fastest at 80. But you still have to read it, right? You have to compare the numbers in your head. It's good, but we can do so much better.
So watch this. Let's see what happens when we turn this table into a story you can see.
And voila! That's the power of visualization right there. You don't even have to read the numbers. Your brain just knows the train is the fastest. That tall bar just screams, I'm the biggest. That's the magic of a simple bar graph.
Okay, quick but important point. You're going to see two kinds of graphs that look almost the same, bar graphs and histograms. The difference is actually really simple. A bar graph is for comparing totally separate things, like a car, a bus, a train. That's why there are little gaps between the bars. But a histogram, that's for continuous data, like those student scores we group together. The bars touch because the data flows from one group right into the next.
And you can see it perfectly right here. On the left, the bar graph, gaps between the bars. Each one is its own thing. On the right, the histogram, all the bars are smushed together. That's your visual clue right there that you're looking at a continuous range of data.
But wait, what if you want to get even fancier? What if you need to compare two things at the same time? Let's say the number of boys and the number of girls in different classes. Well, there's a tool for that too.
It's the double bar graph, and these are awesome for side-by-side comparisons. You can see at a glance, okay, this class has this many students total, and you can see how the boys and girls stack up right next to each other. It's like getting two graphs for the price of one.
Wow. Okay, so let's just take a second and look back at the journey we just went on. We started with a total mess of numbers and ended up with something we can actually understand in a second.
Remember? We started with that chaotic, raw data. Then we used super simple tools like tally marks and frequency tables to bring some order. When the data got too big, we learned how to group it into class intervals. And then, the final step, we turned it all into pictures, into graphs that tell the whole story in a single glance.
And really, that's the big takeaway here. Data handling isn't just a math exercise. It's storytelling. It's about being a detective and finding the hidden story that's buried in all those numbers. So from now on, when you see a bunch of data, don't just see a spreadsheet. Ask yourself, what story is hiding in there, just waiting for me to find it?